And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, what are we fighting for here? Truth, justice, and what used to be the American way. Here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, and we're walking through some of the news. Let's take a look. Republican race tightens into three-way brawl. Bachmann and who are the other two? Kind of, tied with their aims, second place. Ron Paul, is he? No, it's Romney and Perry. This is interesting. I'm wanting to see how this plays out. I'm not sure that they can. Ron will just keep going and going and going and going until something happens to keep him from participating in the debates, or they just ice him out. They tried it in New Hampshire and it didn't work. All of a sudden, when they had him out of one of the Fox debates, all of a sudden he winds up on Jay Leno. Think it will happen again? I don't know. Leno's on NBC, owned by GE. You never know what's going to happen. Right now, the rest of the world is calling even louder for a new global currency. For decades, the U.S. economy has been so dominant compared to the rest of the world that nobody even challenged the status of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency of the world. But now that U.S. government debt has been downgraded, the U.S. dollar is showing significant weakness, and the U.S. economy continues to crumble. The rest of the world is questioning whether the U.S. dollar should be allowed to continue to have such a privileged position in the marketplace. Politicians all over the world are now openly calling for a new global currency to replace the U.S. dollar in international trade, as if that wasn't the goal to begin with. We're going to the world-o! In fact, we are already seeing a shift away from the dollar in many areas of the globe. A decade ago, the U.S. dollar made up approximately 70% of all foreign exchange reserves around the world. Today, that figure is down to about 60% and continues to fall. As the debt problems of the U.S. government get even deeper, and as the U.S. dollar loses even more strength, the calls for a truly global currency are going to grow even louder. Right now, the global financial system is still based on the U.S. dollar to a very large degree, but dissatisfaction with the status quo is growing around the world. Many are blaming the United States for the massive financial problems that we have had in recent years. It's not, it's a philosophy. It's just we got dials and we turn them and whatever. Well, so what's George Soros doing? Oh, he's selling gold and buying farmland. Food prices are skyrocketing. This is from Prison Planet. Food prices are skyrocketing across the globe, and there's no end in sight. The United Nations says food inflation is currently at 30% a year, and the fast eroding value of the dollar is causing food prices to appear even higher, in contrast to a weakening currency. As the dollar drops in value due to runaway money printing at the Federal Reserve, the cost to import foods from other nations look to double in just the next 2 years, and possibly even 2 years thereafter. That's probably why investors around the globe are flocking to farmland as the new growth industry. Investors are pouring into farmland in the U.S. and parts of Europe, Latin America, and Africa as global food prices soar, reports Bloomberg magazine, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you what I remember. There was Doug Casey came to Arizona, and it was at it was kind of a party, at Mark Victor's home. Doug Casey came and he gave a presentation on blah, 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 and different things, investment and what he's doing. And he was promoting Cafejate, which is a 6-star golf tennis resort. Rich people will fare fairly well in Argentina. We're just going to wait it out, and you all have a nice day. Let us know how it turns out. So that's what he's doing. And he travels around the world, and there's a lot of different people. You got some money, guess what? I'm going to be somewhere else other than where the riots are. We'll go to this nice kind of Napa Valley part of Argentina. Y'all have a nice day. Well, there's another place, the Sovereign Man, sovereignman.com. Simon Black, you'll see all of his stuff up on Freedom's Phoenix, and he wrote for the magazine before, as has Doug Casey. And he's doing a place in Chile. And they have a little valley there, 1,100 acres. They're just making a sustainable economy and a community that they're just going, you know what? We got some money. We'll just take care of our own self. Thank you very much. We'll be over here. Well, we'll see how that works out. But this is the mindset that they're in. I remember when Doug came and he talked about Cafejate, and he was just visiting. So we're sitting there talking, what's up? And asking him, what are you doing? And this is before, I think this was about 07. It was right at the top of the housing bubble, and it was getting ready to go. It might have been 08, and it was already starting to go down. And Mark Victor's in this big, giant house, and he's going, oh, yeah, this. And Doug goes, why? It's a depreciating asset, man. Real estate's always going to go up. Where you been, And he's like, no. Now, this is, you might as well just, rent. I mean, because damn. So what happened was, he's talking, and he made the point, he goes, a lot of our investment strategy now is buying land. Land? What land? For what? He goes, cattle. He goes, we're out buying cheap rangeland out in the middle of the nothing all over the world just so we can have some meat. He goes, food is going to get stupid. Meat is going to get stupid. Growing crops is going to be where everybody's making their money. But what happened? Jim Rogers, the billionaire, used to be partners with George Soros. They used to be, buddies in some hedge fund back in the day, and they went different paths. Soros wanted to be, manipulating in the government, and secret handshake people or something. And Jim Rogers said, nope, vaya con Dios, go with God. I'm over here. I'm going to, save myself and, so I can be a good guy, and they don't blame me for making $1 gazillion because I know something. I told you. And I told you it was going to happen. It's my fault. What am I to be blamed for? He has a child. Now, he's in his, it has to be at least in his 60s. He had a young girl. I remember when she was born. It was in the mid-2000s, like 2005 or so. We used to have him on Charles Goliath show every week. I'm calling him all over the world. What happened is he got a Mandarin-speaking nanny for his little blonde girl. Now, you got this little, she's probably 4 or 5 years old now, and she's maybe 5, 6. She's out there speaking fluent Chinese, Mandarin, and it's like, oh, where the heck did that come from? Because he saw the future. He's going, look, man, and it's going to be agriculture. The guys driving around in their Ferraris, they're going to be, have a little dirt on their fingernails of being a farmer. You want to know where the money is? You go. Well, here comes Soros. I guess he's finally deciding, here we go. So he's like, there's probably why investors around the globe are flocking to farmland as the new growth industry. Investors are pouring into farmland in the U.S. and parts of Europe. What do they know that we don't know? They know food's going to get expensive. They know it's inflation. That's what they know. Now, this one, I put this up because I thought this was interesting. Microsoft, chomps up Yahoo, and all of a sudden, Google's going, yeah, we're a lot bigger than you. Heck, they might even merge one of these days. But Google is buying Motorola, who makes all the Android phones and all that kind of stuff. Google is buying Motorola Mobility for $12.5 billion because they can. Maker of Android mobile phone software agreed. This is Google Inc., which makes the Androids, I guess. I thought they were made by, I guess they're in partnership with Motorola. Agreed to buy smartphone maker Motorola Mobility Holdings, Inc. for $12.5 billion in its biggest deal, gaining mobile patents and expanding in the hardware business. Motorola has been part, it's a long story how we know this. They, CIA, National Security, radio waves from the mid-'80s, they went into Eastern Europe and Western Europe and all over Europe and Africa and South America, setting up the system by which make sure that we get in on the ground floor, kind of like with AT&T back in the day, and make sure we can monitor whatever because we can't. So they got in at the ground floor on this all over the world. Motorola is, so it's all ours now, all the information. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, what else is new? Now, I put in here, I want to emphasize this a little bit. Photos from my trip to Havasu Falls. This is Tiger Gilbert, our webmaster, was gone over last weekend or weekend before, and he took these great photos. Havasu, Arizona is a beautiful state, and it's so unique. You need to go through and just look at this Indian reservation and this little canyon that feeds into the Grand Canyon, and it's just a great camping place with all these beautiful falls. And, you take a look at that, and you'll see there's a lot of nice places here in Arizona worth saving.